Welcome to our question and answer session for Park Safaris this year. I'm Dr Ian Beavis, Research Curator at the Amelia, and we're going to be looking through some of the pictures that you've sent in and telling you what they are and telling you something about the creatures that you've found. So we have a brimstone moth here, not to be confused with the brimstone butterfly, which is quite a different creature, but they are the same bright lemon yellow colour. This mainly flies at night. It's attracted to light, but you may well find it sitting at rest on a wall or a tree trunk during the day. So here we have a banded demoiselle damselfly. There are two types of demoiselles here in the high weald. Beautiful demoiselle has a completely dark blue wings. This one has the broad dark band across them. This one tends to live by rivers. The beautiful demoiselle tends to live by small woodland streams. And the males do a courtship display, fluttering low over the water and showing off the beauty of their cobalt blue metallic wings. Here we have, hiding away on a Solomon seal plant, a crab spider. That's the yellow creature you can see there, and it's just captured a small solitary bee. All the threads there seem to belong to a different type of spider, because this particular spider doesn't make a web. It lurks on leaves and flowers and pounces on its prey. And it's called a crab spider because it's the general shape of its body and legs. Here we have a grass moth. This one is not in the grass, it's obviously sitting on a wall. It's been attracted to light during the night and has settled down for the day. But when you're walking through meadows in the sunshine, you quite often see large numbers of these which will fly out from under your feet and flutter a little way and then settle again. But in grassland they're very well camouflaged because they fold their wings in a tubular shape around their back, so when they sit on a grass blade they're very difficult to see because they're basically dead grass colour. Here we have a ruby tiger moth, one of the more common of the tiger moth family. They're so called because of their bright colours, and their caterpillars are the well-known furry woolly bear type. And these are nocturnal. Obviously this one has been caught out and dawn has come and it's just settled itself down on the ground somewhere. This is a 7-spot ladybird. You'll see there are 3 spots on each side, on each wing case, and then there's one at the top of the wing cases in the middle where they meet, which makes 7. It's the largest of the common ladybirds that are native to this country, but you will also see a lot of the introduced harlequin ladybird, which has more spots that you can readily count, or alternatively just 2 red spots on a black background. And that was introduced as a form of biological control into the Netherlands and then became a bit too successful. But this is our native 7-spot ladybird, which is a gardener's friend because they feed on aphids or greenfly. Curious little creature is a plume moth. And it has 4 wings, just as regular moths have, but they're divided up into a series of plumes, rather like bird feathers. And when it's at rest, the plumes are folded closely together so that you get this rather unusual looking T shape. And if it's in the right context, it can actually just look like a little bit of twig or plant debris and be quite difficult to spot. Here we have a 6-spot Burnet moth, which is one of the relatively small number of moths that fly by day. You often find it in flower-rich meadows visiting flowers like marsh thistles and knapweed. There is also a 5-spot species, so you need to count the spots to work out which one it is. And those bright colours are what's known as warning coloration. So it's bright and bold and it's deterring predators from trying to eat it because it's full of poisonous chemicals which the larva abstracts from the plants that it eats. Here we have some garden nasturtiums which are suffering badly from flea beetle. There's a huge quantity of these little beetles sitting around on the leaves here, and you can see where they've sort of nibbled, scratched away at the upper surface of the leaf and just left little holes or little windows within the leaf there. And they're called flea beetles because they jump very effectively. They've evolved strong hind legs for jumping, just the same way as grasshoppers do. So a lot of insects, by convergent evolution, have evolved the same method for jumping out of the way of predators. So it's one of the several pests of nasturtiums and also other plants of the cabbage family. You quite often see the caterpillars of the large white or cabbage white butterfly on this plant as well. Here we have a centipede in the genus Cryptops. These can give you quite a nasty nip if you handle them inadvisedly. But it's one of the largest of the centipedes that you can find in your garden. It's not the regular common centipede, which is slightly broader and less elongated. And this one is the only relative that we have in this country, the big venomous centipedes that you get in the Mediterranean. We have the lair of a funnel web spider. There are a number of species in this group in Britain, and the spider is lurking there somewhere at the bottom of that tunnel you can see, surrounded by silk. And what happens is, if some insect incautiously wanders across one of the threads that are stretching out from the opening there, the spider will detect it and it will race out, grab the poor victim and drag it back into the hole. This is a summer chafer, which is a type of beetle. Chafer is an old-fashioned English word for beetle, which is related to the German Käfer, and it's a smaller relative of the cockchafer or maybug, which you often see flying around and blundering into lighted windows in the spring. But this is, as its name suggests, a summer flying and slightly smaller relative of that species. And here we have an ichneumon wasp, which is actively in process of drilling into some timber to lay its eggs on larvae of wood wasps, which think that they are perfectly safe down there tunneling through the wood. But these parasitic wasps can detect them, and their very sharp ovipositor can drill down through the wood and lay their eggs on the larvae concealed within. Here we have a common carder bee, which is the only common type of bumblebee that is all brown in colour and doesn't have contrasting colours or a differently coloured tail. And this one is feeding at devil's bit scabious, which in our area is a very popular plant with late flying bees and other pollinators. It's called a carder bee because carding is a process from the old woolen industry. It relates to the fact that they weave a covering of moss and other plant material to protect their nest. This is a creature that lives in your house. This is the house spider, Tegenaria, which lives its whole life indoors. Sometimes you can find them outside in relatively warm, sheltered environments, but they're better adapted to indoor life. They often cause quite a bit of consternation in the autumn when the males go walkabout. And they run unexpectedly across the floor, and what they're actually doing is looking for the females, which are concealed in their web, often in dark corners behind bits of furniture that you never move. Here we have what looks to be a small sawfly. Sawflies are primitive members of the bee and wasp family that don't actually have stings. What they do have is an ovipositor, egg-laying organ, which the females use to cut slits into leaves or branches in order to insert their eggs. So they tend to have caterpillars which look very much like those of moths and butterflies and which eat various plants. Some of them are garden pests. So thank you to everyone for sending in your finds. You've got a lovely range of creatures there and some really interesting shots there showing behaviour as well as the creatures themselves. So well done everyone for finding us such a lovely selection of creatures, and do carry on looking as long as the summer and the warm weather last.